years old, Victoria Wilson tips the scales at 28 stone. She's been bullied throughout her life because of her size.
I think the worst thing about being overweight is other people, to be honest, because they're the ones that hurt you the most. I feel ashamed of myself because sometimes I just feel like it's my fault that I've got this big, and that, in a way, I deserve to be this big because of the stupid decisions I've made.
And after years of failed diets, 25-year-old Jessica Simpson now wants to go under the knife to lose weight.
At the moment I weigh just over 18 stone, and bottom half I'm about size 20, top half 16 to 18. I'd like to be a size 12 deep down, I think that's my main goal.
Expect graphic scenes of gastric bypass surgery on Fat Doctor. Britain is now the fattest nation in Europe. Over a quarter of the adult population in the UK is dangerously overweight. We eat too much and we exercise too little. Millions of Britons struggle daily with diets. But for many, however hard they try, they simply can't get rid of the fat.
Well, I'm 43 stone and I realise that eating is killing me. And I think it's that addictive side to the problem that people who aren't my size can't really grasp.
Food to me is a daily battle. I am the good, the food is the bad. And I'm losing. It's almost like I'm addicted to it.
I don't know how many calories I put away a day, but I'm sure it's not right. I'm really desperate to get this weight off, you know, because my life at the moment is zero.
We are facing an obesity crisis, and in desperation, more and more people are turning to weight loss surgery as the answer to their prayers. Bariatric operations can be risky, and only a handful of surgeons specialise in this complex procedure.
I'm Sean Summers. I'm a consultant bariatric surgeon. I've been practising about 12 years, and to date I performed just under 2,000 bariatric operations.
Shaw performs major surgery that can shrink a stomach to the size of an egg. He operates on some of Britain's biggest. They go under his knife in a desperate bid to shed the pounds. Such are the rewards of this type of surgery. Demand is high.
Our own unit is almost the victim of its own success. Over the last 5 years, the number of people being sent to us for consideration of surgery has grown almost 100% a year. And eventually, we reach a ceiling where we just cannot do any more surgery, otherwise we'd take over the whole hospital. That in itself leads us to a problem of how we deal with the demand. We train other surgeons, we teach other units how to do this, but the demand increases quicker than even that can cope.
At up to £7,000 for a gastric band and £12,000 for a gastric bypass operation, the surgery he performs isn't cheap. But Shaw's convinced it's one of the most cost-effective treatments available on the NHS.
I think it's quite clear that the balance of costs with regard to bariatric surgery are heavily in favour of surgery being cheaper than not doing surgery, and it completely blows out of the water those that argue that why should we spend this money on people who are just fat. Well, try leaving them fat and see how much it costs.
The results of weight loss surgery are often staggering. These are some of Shaw's former patients at their annual reunion.
I've lost 9 stone in just over a year. I feel absolutely fantastic. These are the best things I've ever done. I've got more energy now than I've ever had before, so yeah, I would recommend this to anybody.
I've lost now 32.5 stone in 2.5 years, and I feel fitter and younger than when I was a teenager. And I'm 35 now, and it's fabulous.
So far I've lost 8 stone 9, and that's in 15 months, and I feel so energised. My confidence levels have gone up, and it's the best thing I've ever done in my life.
It's results like these that Victoria Wilson and Jessica Simpson would love to achieve. Can surgery help where diets have failed? Victoria Wilson is just 21 years old and weighs 28 stone. At 5 foot 6 inches tall, Victoria is supermorbidly obese and can't stop gaining weight. An adult is considered obese with a body mass index of over 30. Victoria's BMI is almost double this, at 58. Victoria lives with her parents in Havant near Portsmouth.
At the moment I'm 28 stone and I'm the heaviest I've ever been. And I just feel awful about it. And I just don't want to get any bigger. The things I hate most about my body is the middle of me. Sometimes that can make me just feel really bad about myself because I just feel like really round. And I just love to have a flatter body and more of a shape than just being round. Sometimes I just feel like it's my fault that I've got this big. And that, in a way, I deserve to be this big because of the stupid decisions I've made.
Victoria works at her local supermarket. Despite numerous interviews, it took her 2 years after leaving school to finally get a job. She believes bosses wouldn't employ her because of her size.
I work at a supermarket on checkouts and I really do enjoy it. At first I didn't think I would because it's serving food and anything that I relate to food and touching it, I associate with people thinking I'm fat. At first I was really apprehensive of how people would perceive me serving their food, like through the checkout and passing it through to them, because I thought, oh, maybe they'd think, oh yeah, I better get that quick because you'd eat it or something.
Victoria never forgets the remarks people have made about her weight.
My life has been ruined by horrible comments because sometimes when I feel down about myself or I do feel a bit depressed, all those comments come flooding back into your head and they just don't make you feel good about yourself at all. And you start to think, are they right? Were they right in what they were saying? And sometimes you just don't want to live anymore because they hurt that much.
Victoria's parents, Christine and Jeff, worry constantly about their daughter's well-being.
I'll do anything to try to help her, because it's heartbreaking for me to see her. And, you know, people are so nasty to her, and it breaks my heart when people are sort of saying stuff and it's my daughter. Because they're not just saying stuff about her, they're saying stuff about me as a mother. And I felt as though, you know, they're blaming me as well. And I tried everything for her to sort of try to lose weight.
When Victoria was a young child, there was no sign of the obesity that was set to devastate her school life.
When she was really small, she was long and lanky. She wasn't overweight at all. She just was, you know, very thin at that time. She could eat what she liked.
I was about 9 when I started to put weight on, and it just went on very dramatically. And whatever I tried to do, it just never came off.
Victoria's weight began escalating when she reached puberty early, at the age of 9. By the time she was in her teens, she was putting on almost 2 stone a year.
School's horrible. I used to get picked on. I didn't like doing sports at school because like, I knew that when I ran, that my bits used to like wobble around, and I used to get called names about that, and I just didn't want to do sports in front of people because I knew they would watch and laugh. And sometimes it got so bad I couldn't go to school, and I just felt like I was being left out because I was the fat one.
When her weight started going, I got really upset because, you know, I thought, oh, obviously we're feeding her wrong, you know, and sort of like because obviously we were in charge of the food that she was eating, but she just kept on putting on more and more weight, and there was nothing we could do.
I just felt really bad about myself. I even thought about killing myself at some points because I just felt like there was no option out and that I'd never lose weight or I'd never be happy again.
As the bullying at school got worse, Victoria turned increasingly to food for comfort. Her overeating was a bigger problem than even her parents could have imagined. Much of it was done in secret.
I'd eat things like crisps and all the raw things, biscuits. I always hid it and like used to take it to my room or just eat where no one else was.
I had a job in a supermarket, and what I used to do was take all the food out in the car, like snack things like crisps, biscuits, cakes, so they weren't at home, so she couldn't be tempted.
She used to lock the front door to stop me from going out to buy stuff, so I found a window key. Nothing would stop me from going out and getting something to eat. I couldn't stop eating, and it was like an addiction to me.
Victoria has tried everything from diets to slimming pills in an effort to lose weight. But nothing has worked. Food is an addiction she has no control over.
When I'm eating something I shouldn't, I always feel good at first when I'm eating it, but then it's about halfway through I get this huge guilt come over me that I should not be eating it and that I'm doing the wrong thing and that I should stop and not do it again, but it just seems to always happen again.
The thing that worries me more than anything is that it could result in a death. She could eventually put on so much weight that it would be unhealthy and quite a stress on her heart. And that I wouldn't want. Not for all the teen China, you know.
4 years ago, Victoria was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome, a condition which can affect fertility. Many women who suffer from it are overweight.
She's got an illness, and I tried everything for her to sort of try to lose weight. She was told about 2 or 3 years ago she'd most probably never be able to have children herself. That broke my heart because she's such a good person. And she'd make a lovely mother.
Victoria has now decided to take drastic action. She wants to have obesity surgery in the hope it can give her the slim and healthy body she dreams of. Today, she has an appointment to see bariatric surgeon Shaw Summers. She's desperate for him to give her the go-ahead for the operation.
I am a bit worried that he's going to say no, and if he does say no, I don't know. I feel like I'll be at a loss, and I just don't know which way to turn next.
I hope in my heart that she does have the operation, because I think it would be a new beginning for her, because she's lost so much of her childhood and obviously her young teenage years, because she wasn't able to do lots of things that other teenagers could do. I mean, when I was young, I used to go horse riding, and I know Vicky's always wanted to go horse riding, but she's always been frightened to go horse riding because of her weight. So she does have the operation. It is something she's looking to aim for, isn't it?
Victoria Wilson, please. Hello, I'm Shaw Summers. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hello, your mum.
I'm Mum.
Nice to meet you. Come on in. Thanks for coming to see me in clinic, Vicky. How long have you had a problem with your weight?
Since before I can remember. Early teens, late childhood.
Right. And are you at your biggest weight now?
Yeah, I am.
Have you ever managed to lose a lot of weight, or is it just a few stone at a time?
The most I've managed to lose is about 1.5 stone, and then it just seems to whistle down to nothing and then come back on again.
Right. That's what we call yo-yoing.
Yeah.
Is that, do you recognise that?
Yeah.
Can I ask how the weight changes your life? What is it that it affects?
My weight makes it difficult for me to go out, be confident, just generally do day-to-day things because I get embarrassed and upset about what people might say or how they make me feel.
Does it also stop you from doing things that you'd like to do?
I think it does stop me from doing things because I'd like to go to theme parks and things like that, and I can't because of my weight.
Sure.
So I feel like I miss out on a lot as well.
There are a number of operations that are suitable for people to try and help them lose weight, but it's always the case that whilst the operations work in their own right, some operations are better for some people.
Okay.
And I think given your diet history and your likes and dislikes and your day-to-day habits, I think a bypass would be a better operation for you.
Okay.
The operation itself involves making a small pouch at the top of your stomach, about the size of an egg.
Yep.
And then the rest of the stomach stays in your body but doesn't do anything for the rest of your life.
Okay.
The little pouch where the food goes will then empty via a shortcut that I make in the intestines. I would anticipate that by about 6 to 9 months you are eating more or less normal food, except the very big lumpy stuff like well-cooked meats, breads, etc. Everything else you will be able to eat small amounts of and enjoy, but you will not have the same appetite, you'll not have the same capacity.
Okay.
Does that sound what you want?
It does.
Good.
Very much.
Any questions from Mum?
How will she be okay and safe, you know, because that's what worries me the most.
Clearly we are taking a risk with the surgery on the day of the operation, but in the long run it's better for her to have something that will help her lose a lot of weight than for her to stay as she is. Well, I would hope that when we do the operation that Victoria feels it's the new start.
Yeah, that's what I've said to her anyway.
Okay, well, I look forward to looking after you. Good.
Thank you.
Victoria's 21 and really that's a good age to make the decision to have surgery. If she's just not able to manage weight loss in any other way, then surgery can help her get her life back at an age where she can actually live a life and fulfil what she wants to do as a person. If you leave it too long and too late, the payback for going through surgery is not quite as good. So whilst it's disappointing for younger people to be needing surgery, I think it's better to do it at a younger adult age. They'll get more out of it.
It's a busy day for Shaw. This afternoon he's operating at a private hospital in Harrow. Over 30% of Shaw's bariatric patients have to pay for their own surgery because they don't meet NHS criteria for funding. 25-year-old Jessica Simpson is one of them. Jessica weighs 18.5 stone and is here today to have a gastric band fitted. She hopes it will help her where diets have failed.
I've been overweight since I was a child, really, and more than anything, I just felt I needed a long-term solution. I think the main thing that bothers me about my weight is people's perception of you. If you walk into a room or you go for an interview for a job, I think people consciously or subconsciously do see you differently, and I think the main thing people seem to think is that you're lazy, which is completely inaccurate.
Jessica's boyfriend Andy is here today to support her.
Jessica's weight doesn't bother me. You know, I love her if she was 10 stone or 20 stone. Really. I wrote about her health into the future, so I think that the band would be the solution.
So I'm going to start giving you the happy drugs.
All right.
You're going to feel a bit lightheaded soon.
As anaesthetists start work on putting Jessica to sleep, Shaw Summers prepares for her operation.
This is an adjustable gastric band, and it's what I'm going to be implanting into Jessica today. It's made of silicone plastic, and as you can see, it's basically a rubber ring with a balloon in the middle, and it's attached via a thin tube to a little button that we can put an injection into in order to inflate the balloon. So it's a system that we can use to control people's ability to eat solid foods. So for Jessica, who has very little appreciation of what full is really like, she keeps eating because nothing tells her to stop. Hopefully a band will help her understand and recognise the feelings of being tight and full so that she can just start to eat less. Because all it does is reduce the volume of food you eat, it will help most people get halfway down on their journey from overweight to normal. The difficult half, really they have to do themselves. They have to learn to eat differently, make the right choices, and add extra activity into their day-to-day lives. So for Jessica, who is in the region of 18 stone, to get down to a more normal weight, which would be around the 10 stone mark, she's going to need to lose 8 stone. The band will help her lose at least 4 of that. The rest is going to be a partnership between her, the band, and our aftercare. Okay, knife please.
First of all, Shaw has to create his operating port.
Thanks. Now this is a much bigger port than usual, because we actually have to get the band through here. But as you can see, it's got a tapered tip and there's no blade, so that we're not actually likely to injure anything. We'll just squeeze it through her tummy muscles, and then we can push the band in without any trauma to Jessica's tummy. Okay.
In order to fit the band, Shaw creates a tunnel round the back of Jessica's stomach.
Okay, here's the band Sister Williams has kindly prepared for me. So I'm now going to insert that through the port. Okay, now the band's inside. So what I'm now going to do is grab the tail of the band and pull it around the gullet. There we go. As you can see, there's not a great deal of space to work in there. The band is now around the top of the stomach. See that? There's a little pouch of stomach about the size of a golf ball above the band, and that will be the size of stomach that Jessica has to eat into. The food will then have to squeeze through the band before it carries on the rest of the digestion down there. That's the rest of the stomach, all down there.
Shaw then stitches the band in place. This will prevent the rest of the stomach slipping up inside the band, which would result in a bigger pouch.
You can see the balloon there, uninflated, ready to squeeze onto the stomach channel where the food will come through. So now all it remains for me to do is to tunnel this tubing through Jessica's tummy wall using one of the ports that I've already put through. So we now take this port out, because that's where the little inflation button's going to go. Top light on, thank you. Now this is the clever bit. What I'm doing is just making a little pocket for the port button. And now the tubing's on the end of my needle holder, so I'm now going to pull it through her tummy wall, and I can feel it come through the muscles just there. and then turn it and tunnel it through Jessica's body wall fat, and there's the tubing.
It's essential that the port or inflation button is stitched firmly in place so the band can always be adjusted.
Jessica has to be able to lead a normal life with a band. She has to be able to do sports, has to be able to run, jump, swim, bend over without the band or the port shifting in position.
The port is then attached to the silicone tubing.
Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the camera to pull the tubing into the tummy so that the port goes in there. That's it. And then we tie that down to the tummy wall and the operation's done. 20 minutes. Hi, Jessica. All went well. Okay.
Jessica will now have to wait over a month for her stomach to heal before she can have her band tightened and hopefully start losing weight. Back in Havant, 21-year-old Victoria is celebrating the news that her weight loss surgery can go ahead.
Nervous. Good girly shots. Home shopping.
Best friends Lisa and Caroline are thrilled for her.
She is such a brave girl, and I'm with her every step of the way, and that's what friends are for. So, you know, I think it's going to be such a whole new life-changing experience for her. And at the end of the day, she's such a young girl, and, you know, she's got a lot more to live for. So, you know, she definitely needs this, definitely.
And when will you start seeing the results?
I should think straight away.
So when you come back to what you feel, screaming everything.
I am very excited to see the changes in Vicky, yes. Her confidence is going to go sky high. She's not going to care what she wears, she's going to be out there, her confidence is going to be brilliant. She is really looking forward to it, and I'm so excited for her. She's going to look great. She's just going to look brilliant. It's going to be cool.
Coming up, it's the moment of truth for Jessica.
Right, Jessica, to pop you on the scales.
And Victoria considers whether her decision to go under the knife to lose weight is the right one.
I'm willing to take the risk that I could die because I know that if I stay like this for much longer, I probably will get bigger, and I'd rather die trying than just give up and live miserably for a couple more years.
At just 21 years old, Victoria Wilson tips the scales at 28 stone. She's going to have gastric bypass surgery in the hope it can help her lose over half her body weight. Victoria's hoping that losing weight will help improve her confidence. She's been engaged to boyfriend Sean for 6 months now, after meeting him online. But Victoria was afraid at first that her weight would put him off.
I think when I do first meet boys, I do kind of hide behind a barrier because I'm afraid of what they're going to think of me. I'm afraid they're going to reject me straight away because of my size.
At first I was a bit shocked because she sent me pictures of her where she was a bit slimmer. But when I met her, I just didn't mind because it doesn't make a difference. I just fell in love with her.
I didn't realise I did look slimmer in my pictures. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I love everything about Vicky. There's nothing I don't love about her.
But despite Sean's reassurances, Victoria has no self-confidence. She worries constantly when she's out in public.
I always feel when I am out in places like this that people are going to judge me or they'll make a remark about me, and then I normally just get upset and want to go home. Sometimes it could be children that say things, and sometimes they'll say that, oh look, she's big, and the parents turn around and say, oh yeah, she needs to lose weight, but they just don't understand. It just makes me feel really bad about myself.
Victoria's thankful she met Sean before her gastric bypass surgery.
I am really glad that I met Sean before I had the operation when I was big, because then I know that he's not being with me just because he's superficial and wants someone that's slimmer.
Love her the same, no matter what size she is. If she gains weight, loses weight, I don't mind. I just love her for being her.
It's been 4 months since 25-year-old Jessica Simpson had a gastric band fitted round her stomach to help her lose weight. She's come back to see Shaw Summers at the Clementine Churchill in Harrow to have her band tightened for the second time.
Jessica, how are you? Come and take a seat. Right. So it's 4 months since we put the band in, and you had your first fill a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
How have you been feeling the band's working for you at the moment?
It's working initially, and I think
Yeah.
it's starting to loosen up a bit. I'm starting to be able to eat more, so it's more my mind saying that's enough rather than my band here telling me.
Okay. So what sorts of things are you tending to stick to at the moment?
I tend to stick to sort of a cereal for breakfast, and then maybe some fruit or a yogurt in the mid-morning, and then usually a salad with either like chicken or fish or whatever's left over from the day before, really.
Okay.
And then sort of a normal dinner, meat and some vegetables.
Does the chicken go down okay?
Sometimes it can get stuck if I don't chew it properly, if I forget my my good lessons from the beginning.
Yeah.
So
Are you eating a lot more slowly now?
yes.
Do you find you eat less as a result of that?
I think so, because you just get a bit bored and everyone else is finished and you're just sitting there. So you just think, I just don't need it, so I don't need it.
It sounds like the band is certainly still working, because if I gave you a pork pie to eat, you'd look at it and go, do I have to? Because it's cold and it's stodgy and it just won't go down properly. So I think today what we'll do is I'll check how much is in the band and I'll just give it a little tweak just to move you on a bit. Can I weigh you today?
Yep.
See what you weigh? Okay. Let's pop you on the scales. I'd say if we took your clothes into account, you're just under 100 kilos. So that's 19 kilos you've lost.
Yes.
3 and a bit stone.
So I'm doing what's fun.
You're doing just fine. Right, Jessica, would you like to pop up on the couch?
Shaw is now going to tighten Jessica's band to restrict her appetite further. This is done by injecting a saline solution into the inflation port, which is positioned just beneath Jessica's skin.
Well done, that's it. Relax now. Does that hurt at all?
No.
Good girl. So what I'm doing now is I'm drawing out the fluid that's in your band, just to see exactly how much is in there. I'm going to put all that back, and I've got a little bit more to put back in there. What I'd like you to do now, so if you can just hold the back of my elbow, and then lift yourself up, and swing your legs round. Good. You're right there. You look like you've walked past a darts contest and someone's got you. Right, if you can take that. Now, what I'm going to do is put in some fluid. I'm going to ask you to take a drink now, a couple of glugs, and tell me if that goes down or if you feel it's got stuck there.
No, it's gone down.
Is it? Okay, a couple more glugs.
Now it's got stuck.
Where is it stuck?
About
Okay, so if I take the fluid out, has it all gone down again?
Yep.
Okay, let's put in a bit less.
That's gone down.
That's gone down. Okay, a little bit more. Try that.
It's gone down, just a little bit more difficult.
So it's slower than it was this morning.
Yeah.
But
it's still going down.
it's still going down. Okay. The incentive for me getting it right is if it's too tight, you're going to just bring it back straight over me, so I've got to get it spot on. Okay, try another drink.
That's gone down all right.
That's gone down all right. Okay, so it is tighter than it was. One more drink. I want drinks to be able to go through relatively easily. It's just the food should slow down.
It's slower, but it's not still not getting stuck.
It's not getting stuck. Okay, so we leave it at that?
Yes.
Put it at that level. 1, 2, 3, out you come. Okay, you pop your finger on there for me. Super. And you keep up the good work. You're doing absolutely brilliantly.
Thank you.
You're a star pupil.
Thank you.
Good.
Jessica's delighted with how much weight she's lost so far.
When I first went in, I was about 18 stone 10, and I'm about 15 stone 9 now, so just over 3 stone I've lost so far in 4 months, which is quite an achievement, I think, and hopefully I'll carry on going on that level so I can reach my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal weight would be about 65 kilos, which is about 10 stone 3, 10 stone 4, so still a way to go, but all the time in the world to get there.
At St Richard's Hospital in Chichester, it's the day of 28 stone Victoria Wilson's operation. She's hoping a gastric bypass will help her lose over half her body weight. Despite the risks of surgery, Victoria's convinced she's made the right decision.
I'm willing to take the risk that I could die because I know that if I stay like this for much longer, I probably will get bigger and I'm going to get more chance of getting things wrong with me, and I'd rather die trying and be happy by trying than just give up and live miserably for a couple of more years.
But boyfriend Sean is concerned that if Victoria loses weight, it will affect their relationship.
Sean's biggest fears is that when I lose the weight, I'm going to get a lot more confidence and more men are going to ask me out, and that he thinks I'm going to leave him for someone else, but I'm not.
I feel a bit like she doesn't really need it, even though she wants it badly. Part of me don't really want her to change, but she wants to go through with it, so it's up to her.
With only minutes to go until her operation, it's all getting too much for Victoria.
Okay, shall we begin? All right.
In theatre, Shaw Summers is scrubbing up, ready to perform her operation.
Okay, so it's all about catching crowns. Her tummy is absolutely flat between tummy button and chest, so I can tell that most of her fat is actually outside of her internal organs, so that this makes it easier to do as a keyhole operation rather than having to make a cut. In most of the men that we do, the fat is all in their tummy. That's why men have pot bellies, and that makes keyhole surgery much more difficult. That's why I call girls are fluffy, men are solid. You know, men have it all around the middle. There's a definite increase in adolescent obesity, and we're now seeing the results of that. A lot more of them are coming through to services like our own, asking for help. Personally, I think they're a good group to treat because they tend to be fit and healthy inside. It's just the weight's the problems. They haven't gone on long enough to develop problems like blood pressure or diabetes or heart trouble. Inevitably for Victoria, if she were not to have surgery, her weight would slowly but surely increase because she's in this cycle of despair where she feels completely at a loss as to how to deal with her weight. It depresses her, it colours everything she does in her life, and really the only thing left that gives any comfort is eating. And it really is a very corrosive emotion to have that love-hate relationship with something that's a necessity for everybody. For Victoria, if she was left as she is, her health would inevitably deteriorate once she reaches her mid to late 30s. Certainly by her mid-40s, she would be largely incapacitated by her weight, and her life expectancy would not be expected to go on much past her 50s. So all I need to do is make a little cut in the skin at the right sort of place. Okay to start? Thank you. Okay, now I've put this through there. Now we have a view inside, and there's what we call the omentum, the fatty covering of the intestines. You can see the stomach there just poking down below the liver.
Shaw will make 6 small incisions in Victoria's abdomen in order to create his operating ports.
Okay, what I'm going to use now is a special instrument here which can heat seal and then cut tissues of the body, because I've got to get through the fatty omentum to show me the small intestine underneath. So I use this ligature device to put inside and start the operation.
The omentum is the fatty covering of the intestines. Shaw needs to cut through this in order to start work on the gastric bypass. Before he makes Victoria's stomach smaller, he first needs to shorten the length of her small intestine. This will make Victoria less hungry and also reduce the amount of calories her body can absorb. Gastric bypass surgery, with the intent to help people lose weight, has been around since the 1970s.
I mean, the operation of bypass itself is a modification of the old type of ulcer surgery when people used to get stomach ulcers. And it was noticed that if you were big and had a stomach ulcer and had an operation to treat it, you lost weight. And a few bright sparks thought, well, if you haven't got an ulcer but you have the surgery, wouldn't it be nice to help people lose weight? And that's how bariatrics was born.
Next, Shaw needs to give Victoria a much smaller stomach. But first, he needs to get access to it.
This is a little liver retractor, well, not so little, that I'm going to use to hook into Victoria's tummy to hold her liver out the way and lift it up out of the way of my surgery. As you can imagine, trying to get that through someone's tummy wall requires a little bit of gymnastics. Yeah, got it. There we go, and there it will appear, the end of it will appear in the tummy now. That's it, so I have to wiggle that through. Okay, yeah.
With the liver held out of the way, Shaw can begin to create Victoria's new stomach pouch.
Okay, what I'm going to do is use a special staple gun, which when you open it, you can see there are rows of little staples there and a slot down the middle that sends a knife blade and cuts it in half. And I'll use a number of these down one of these ports to actually cut Victoria's stomach to give her what's called the staple diet. Okay, now the idea of this part of the operation is to reduce the size of Victoria's stomach to about the size of a large egg. The function of that is to give Victoria restriction of her eating. In other words, she can only eat about an egg-sized amount at any one time, and she'll have to wait for her stomach to empty before she can eat any more. That will also mean that when she does eat, she'll feel full a bit more quickly, and she won't feel like carrying on eating. So, fire the gun, and across we go.
All that's left to do now is to join the new stomach pouch to the bypassed small intestine. and the operation is complete.
That's it.
As Victoria is taken back to the ward, boyfriend Sean can finally breathe a sigh of relief.
Pretty happy that she's still okay and she's sort of smiling, so it's all looking great.
Will the operation be the success Victoria's hoping for and help her lose weight for the first time in her life? Six months ago, Jessica Simpson weighed over 18.5 stone and was a dress size 20. Fed up with failed diets, Jessica decided to have a gastric band fitted round her stomach, in the hope it would help her lose weight. And this is Jessica now, fitter, healthier, and almost 5 stone lighter.
In terms of how much weight I've lost, I think I'm about halfway there to where I want my goal to be. But I've still got, I think, about another 3.5 stone to go. I generally come to the gym about 3 to 4 times a week, and I do really just an hour of all the cardio machines. So I'll do cross trainer and treadmill and the bike. Hopefully I'll be moving into sort of weights later on to tone up, but now to me it's more important about burning the fat and getting the weight down.
Boyfriend Andy is thrilled with the results of Jessica's weight loss.
I was surprised at the results of the operation to begin with. Jessica had already sort of told me what would happen. I have noticed that Jessica has a great deal more energy, and she's got a great deal more sort of confidence in herself. Not that she didn't before, but I think now she has more so. I'm not so worried now about Jessica's weight into the future. Something I particularly was worried about was sort of having children and that sort of thing. So that has completely sort of alleviated that problem, which is obviously a good thing for our future life together.
In terms of how my body shape's changed, I'm definitely getting a more defined waist and hopefully getting that hourglass figure that everybody dreams and hopes of.
Jessica paid £7,000 for her gastric band, but she believes it was money well spent, and what's more, it's made her determined to make it work.
I think paying for the operation does make a difference in how you see it and how seriously you take it. I mean, you have to want it no matter what, whether you pay or you don't, and money's just money, but I think it does focus your mind a little bit more on what you're aiming for and how much time and effort has gone into basically earning that money to get to where you want to be in life.
At just 21 years old and weighing 28 stone, Victoria Wilson was supermorbidly obese and couldn't stop gaining weight. Gastric bypass surgery was her last hope of a happy and healthy future. This was Victoria 8 months ago. And this is her now, an astonishing 8 stone lighter.
Since the operation, I've lost about 8 stone and I feel absolutely great. I feel full of energy now. I feel a lot happier in myself. I feel a lot more confident. And I just generally feel like a new person. I don't feel like everyone's being judgmental to me anymore. I've not had any bad comments about me anymore, which is a completely life-changing thing because I was getting it every single week. People just making nasty comments or staring, and I just don't get that anymore.
Boyfriend Sean initially had reservations about Victoria having the operation, but these have proved unfounded.
I was worried that she was going to leave me when she started getting thinner because she'd get more confident and she'd want someone who's better than me. But then I soon realised that she just loved me all along, so she stayed with me. So our relationship's growing pretty well. I find her just as beautiful as she was before, to be honest.
At first, when I started losing the weight, Sean was a little bit upset and he said that I was losing my chubby, cute face. But I think he has adjusted to it now and he knows that I am happier and he's happy with me that I'm happy. My eating has changed a lot, but I still dish up way too much and I still think I can eat the amounts I did before, but I just don't, and I end up throwing most of it away. But I tend to find that I don't like a lot of the stuff that I liked before. I find it too sickly or too fattening, because I will admit I have tried things I shouldn't eat, but I think everyone does that.
But there's one benefit to Victoria's weight loss that far outweighs any changes to her physical appearance.
I found out a couple of weeks ago that I'm expecting a baby, which I thought would never happen. When I found out, I was over the moon and I wanted to cry, and I didn't think this would ever happen to me at all. Never. Sean cried his eyes out when I told him he's really, really over the moon about it. We both are.
She came home, she came in the house and she said, I've got some bad news and some good news. The bad news was we owed some money to someone, but the good news was she said, "You're going to be a father." I didn't believe her, so I ran to the kitchen to find out whether it was true or not. She showed me a pregnancy test and it's true. Then I just started crying because I was so immensely over the top because of my emotions and stuff, being a father, and I was really happy for her as well, so it was just amazing.
I feel absolutely happy about bringing up a baby. I know that I can teach them to do the right things now and to help them if they do have problems with food, because I've got over that problem myself now. Well, not fully, but I'm getting there and I understand food a lot more now. I'm going to keep them on track by discouraging eating a lot of snack foods and high sugar foods and a lot of fat, like the wrong foods. And I'm going to try and get them to eat a lot healthier and like try and encourage like healthy fruit snacks and just general good eating.
I never thought I was going to be a father. Even before I met Vicky, I always thought I'd never get married, I'd never be a father. Just going to be a bachelor and do nothing for the rest of my life and just play games and all that stuff. But then I met Vicky and my whole life changed. So I'm going to be a dad, so I'm going to be a husband, and going to be everything I wanted to be in my dreams. So it's all come true.
When I was 18, I was told that I probably would never have children because of my polycystic ovary syndrome, which was through my weight. And where I've lost the weight, my polycystic ovary syndrome must have reversed itself a bit and given me that opportunity that I could have my own child.
For mum Christine, news of Victoria's pregnancy is the icing on the cake after years of worrying about her daughter's weight.
The main thing I thought was I wanted Vicky to live. I didn't particularly care about her being a mother because I was really nervous because she'd always been told that perhaps in 5 to 6 years, if she hadn't had the operation, she would have died. So to me, it was more important for her to live, and I think that is still my main objective. But yes, I'd absolutely love it because then I can smother it myself, because normally it's puppies and kittens with me. So my first grandchild, that'd be wonderful, you know, so I'm looking forward to it, and we do go out having a look at stuff, you know, for baby stuff. And I do get excited about that, but then my whole family, her brother is very excited, and her nan, she's very excited because, you know, she just thinks, and everybody knows that Vicky would be a lovely mum.
I thought I'd never come baby shopping. The only time I ever went baby shopping was when I babysat and the parents give me money to go and get the baby clothes, but never for myself.
So it's a bit of a shock to come out looking for stuff, but then I know I'm going to spoil the baby rotten.
If it's a girl, we were going to call it Amy, and if it's a boy, it's going to be Alex.
It is, like, really a miracle for us, you know, that she is having a child. And I just know she's going to be a lovely mum to her baby. It does make me feel really proud of her, because on the day when she did have the operation, I couldn't watch her go into the operating theatre because I had to leave. And because I was so worried that, you know, something could have gone wrong, but she's come out of it really well. I'm really happy. And to have my daughter know that she's going to live for a lot longer than what she would have done if she hadn't had the operation.
The baby is the final chapter, really, because it was something that I thought I would never have, but then I thought I would never lose weight either, and I've got both now, so.